Welcome, everybody. It's Andrew Beach. I'm an executive coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster. This is Career Happy Hour. If you want to join, you're welcome to do so. You can do that by putting your LinkedIn profile in the chat. You can also perhaps take a look at and consider joining me live. There's a link in the description to do that. I'd be happy to have anybody here come on and actually have a great conversation with me. It's good to see you all. Let me get over to the chat here and see what we have going on. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Is the audio coming through loud and clear for y'all? I'd appreciate some confirmation that we're actually live and that you can hear me just fine. I will keep the, let's see if I can get the chats. There we go. Hey, Leif, good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for putting your profile in the chat. If you want to come on live, you're welcome to do so. The link is in the description. Also, if you have questions, this is Career Happy Hour. We call it Career Happy Hour because it's Friday and it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And it's an opportunity for all of us to share our LinkedIn profiles in the chat so that you and I can network. What is the biggest challenge that many of the people I work with have? And that is they have approach avoidance, if you want to call it that, to the networking because they are uncomfortable or they think they're bothering somebody or fill in the blank with whatever excuse, because I've heard them all and I've used them all. So I'm pretty familiar with all the excuses that come with networking. Here's the thing. By putting your link in the chat, what you're telling to everybody is that you're open to having a dialogue with somebody else here in this community. And yes, this is a community we're trying to foster here and facilitate, lubricate, if you will, the networking process for a lot of people. And we need to get the word out that this is available. I would certainly appreciate it if you could just take a second, share out this broadcast with your network. Let's get more people involved. Let's expand our reach. Let's level up our networking capacity. Good. So it's good to see everybody. There's a number of things kind of going through my mind. It's funny. Have you ever, and I'm going to bring this up kind of in a tangential way. Have you ever found something that was lost for a long time? I mean, for the longest time, you could never find it. You wrote it off as gone forever. And, you thought there was no possible way for you to find this thing ever again. That happened to me this week. Not that I lost something, but I found something that a set of glasses that I had purchased a long time back. There we go. A pair of glasses that I purchased a long time back that were brand new. I maybe wore them for a month. I stashed them away somewhere, could not ever find those glasses again. Wrote them off. In fact, this last month, I actually scheduled an eye appointment to get some new glasses. And lo and behold, 2 days before I was to actually get a new pair of glasses or had my prescriptions redone, I found these glasses. And it changed everything. But, it's not really about the glasses. I think often we overlook the most obvious places to search. And many times the places we should be looking are the places that are most obvious to us. But it's not always obvious at the time that we see it. Isn't that funny? So something right in front of you that looks obvious after the fact doesn't look so obvious when you're in the middle of it. And that's the challenge with a lot of people in career transition trying to find their way is they try to make it more sophisticated than it needs to be. Oh, I can only connect with people that are VPs, or I can only connect with people that are in my domain. I don't want to bother somebody. So I'm really encouraging everybody to take a fresh look, a fresh perspective at what networking really is. And that is, having a compelling interaction of some kind with somebody. And it doesn't have to be a home run. It just needs to be. Maybe that's my new mantra, because my mantra this year for 2021 was fundamentals. And I kept thinking about that when I was coaching clients this last week, is that there's fundamentals. And we try to make this big thing, right? I'm facing all these competing priorities and I don't know how to make them all work together. And, there's a new normal and an old normal, and the norms are all blown out of proportion or out of the water. What do I do? I said, let's go back to the fundamentals. If you want to get something done or you want to accomplish something, whether that's in career transition or in your career in general, if you're employed right now, it comes down to people. People hire people. People promote people. Influencing people helps you influence a process. These are universal truths. And it's fundamentally true that when you make an effort to help somebody else, they're more inclined to help you. Isn't it funny how that works? Now, that doesn't mean they will. And certainly there are people that play the political game. Certainly that does happen, but it isn't always the case that you can only control, by the way, you can only control your contributions. You can't control how somebody responds to positively, negatively, or anything else, those contributions on your behalf. Good. So let's make sure that we're all engaged here, that if you have questions, I'd like to see your questions in the chat box, please. Look at the chat box, put your questions in there, and I'm happy to answer anything that you've got. It makes this session a lot more fun if I can have something tangible, a contribution to you and your success in some way possible. Also, I will put in the chat, I'll grab the, let me copy that. I'll come over here and I will put in the chat here on LinkedIn the link to join me live. For free career coaching. Good. Hey, Connor, good to see you, buddy. Connor's a great guy out of Seattle. He's got a thirst for technology and learning and gaming. He's a wonderful human being. I'd encourage each one of you to reach out and connect with him. He's put his link here in the chat box. Good deal. So outside of that, I mean, I've kind of gotten into this habit of actually looking at and sharing out and talking through some of the news on the LinkedIn homepage. And I found that to be really interesting because sometimes I just look over that surface level. And the one that's interesting to me right now, let me see if there's anything of interest. Let's see. Restaurants struggling to hire. Go figure. If you shutter restaurants, what are the likelihood people are going to come back? Same with any hospitality driven business. It's unfortunate. Let's see. Airlines breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, here's an exciting news story. Biden raised taxes on the richest. That's interesting. Work from home makes us more productive. A study. Interesting. Let's dig into the study, shall we? Let's see. Do employees work as effectively from kitchen table as they do from the office? According to research cited by Bloomberg, working from home will lift productivity in the U.S. economy by 5% post-pandemic. Did you catch that? Post-pandemic, it's going to increase productivity 5%. Now, what does that mean, really? Is that businesses are going to look at this because they're able to get more out of you for the same amount of money, which means you're not working less. You're probably actually working more. Anyway, there's two sides to every coin. I can interpret what they're saying. It says here, mostly due to savings in commuting time. Yeah, I mean, so if I'm saving, let's say, an hour in a commute, what do you think I'm using that time for? For the company. Amen, right? So there's that. The poll, which involved 30,000 people, that's a pretty sizable poll. Work from home arrangements started as stopgap measures found that 20% of workdays will be from home moving forward. Good. Flexible work arrangements. This is what Terry and I have been talking about, is that this is going to be the new way that you keep people engaged, that you reduce turnover in your organization, and you actually get people to want to stay and come to your organization. And building these kind of programs is going to give, I'm starting to think also that It's choose your own experience. I mean, how nice would it be that each employee could choose their own experience? I find that fascinating. Some of the work that they did at Zappos, Tony Hsieh, bless his soul, was intriguing to me. Now, you have to really be open to risk to do some of these things. But anyway, that said, so what is this? What are we to take away from this story about work from home makes us more productive when we are candidates are looking to improve our standing in a hiring process? Work from home is normal. What does that do? That expands your geography that you can address. It opens your marketplace exponentially, geometrically, increase your marketplace. Now I don't just have to look at my little domicile here, Portland, Oregon. I can look at the whole West Coast of the United States, or even the whole North America. Here's the thing. It's not relegated any longer to where you're working. It's relegated to how, what value do you bring to the marketplace? And I love the egalitarian nature of this. I love that we can each, all of us, make a contribution in a certain way and get paid for that contribution. So don't think that the only opportunities available to you are the ones that are outside your front doorstep. Pay attention to those, yes, but that isn't the only marketplace. I would stop using geography, at least in the near term, as a filtering mechanism when you're looking for job opportunities. And let it be driven more by your interests, by things you're interested in. So for example, if you're interested in gaming, then where are all the gaming companies? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where the gaming companies are. How is it that I could work for said gaming company from where I live right now? That's a more relevant question. So increase, as Tony Robbins says, increase the quality of your questions, increase the quality of your answers. So look at it from that perspective, that you can ask better questions, get better answers. Let's see, what else do we have here? Unemployed financiers look elsewhere. Okay. Those in financial services who have found themselves unemployed have become significantly more willing to leave the industry. Okay. I don't know if there's anything to take away from that. It sounds like there's shifting, right? There might be a migration, and that's true with almost every industry. So by the way, we knew at some point this pandemic would trail off, that we had reached some semblance of herd immunity, and things would go relatively back to how they were pre-pandemic. Specifically as relates to hospitality, things like restaurants, hotels, etc., travel. And now here's the thing. Restaurants are struggling now to hire, all while vaccination rates go up and people begin returning to their favorite dining spots. While demand is high for workers, applications are few and far between. This is in part due to many still believing the work to be dangerous amid the contagion, and also because many service workers left the industry altogether. With guests clamoring to come back, hospitality hiring expert says workers now have the upper hand. God bless them, because there was a trend the other direction, that paying these folks less and forcing them to live on their tips, that was kind of disturbing in my mind. But here's the good news. If you want a job, there's jobs. If you want to be in hospitality, food service, restaurants, retail, there's jobs out there. Now, the question is, what would you be able to negotiate? And that certainly is subject to the organization you might be interested in pursuing. But I think that, so those concerns could be extrapolated to virtually any industry, really, that there are still going to be people worried about, whether or not the workplace will be dangerous with this contagion. Some people will be vaccinated, others will not. There's still no clear indicator. What is the capacity of someone to get the virus after a vaccine or a variation of the virus? So that, that remains to be seen. And certainly that's not anything to bank on, but certainly keep that in mind as an organization, or even as a future employee, that this is just solidifying the work from home status. And not everybody wants to work from home. And certainly I appreciate the flexibility to work from home, but I also appreciate being around people. Oh, interesting. I thought the J&J vaccine was pulled. Looks like the U.S. should resume J&J vaccine. Let's see. The news followed a 10-day pause. Similar number of recipients of the vaccine experiencing blood clots. Let's see. Food and Drug Administration is expected to follow panel's guidance sometime Friday evening. The committee decided the vaccine is safe for most people, but suggests the FDA include a blood clot warning. So if you have blood clots or inclined to blood clots, it's probably not a good one for you, eh? I like the idea of one shot, though. I mean, J&J, one shot done. And now we're talking about 2 shots with Pfizer and then a booster. So, I mean, I don't know. Still up in the air on this. I'd like to see more data. Let's see. Levi's wants you to buy fewer jeans. Levi's latest clothing company to jump on the recycled goods train. I see this as a trend too. So what I think it was Lululemon maybe, or was it Nike, or both? And now it's Levi's. They're selling used goods in their stores. So I find that fascinating. It's something they probably should have done a long time ago, and it certainly is part of a sustainability initiative. So that's interesting. What does that mean for us in the job-seeking market? That maybe there's a new role that might be created that connects reverse supply chain with distribution of. And so how are they going to refurbish these things? How are they going to clean these things? You have to have some sort of operation put together to be able to use used clothing. So urging customers to buy less and reuse or repair worn out clothing. So that's interesting. Okay. Awesome. So any questions out there? Let's see what we have. Any questions? Please put them in the chat. I'd love to answer some of your questions. If you could do that, please, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's see. Airlines breathe a sigh of relief. The U.S. airline industry is hoping travel will surge due to pent-up demand as the COVID-19 pandemic wanes and restrictions are relaxed. Now, I don't know about your geography, but I think we just got notice that our county is going to go back to high level of alert, and it could reverse some of our occupancy numbers. Anyway, companies are recalling pilots and flight attendants who haven't worked in months, preparing for what could be a bustling summer of vacations and family visits. I think the same is true there. I think there's always going to be opportunity. If there's an industry that you never thought you could get into because it was just so difficult or so competitive or what have you, there's a number of industries now. If you're just willing to work and you don't mind putting yourself out there and that sort of thing, then you probably will be able to find an opportunity, even as a, if you've always wanted to be a flight attendant or something. And, some of these people will come back, some will not, because they don't want to put themselves in jeopardy. Perception is everything. And there's an opportunity then there to make that happen. Let's see. JetBlue announced it would expand U.S., Midwest, Southeast, Texas, and Latin America. American Airlines plans to hire 300 more pilots this year. So if you're a pilot out of work and you're looking for that kind of thing, American's hiring. A rebound in business travel is not expected. That's true. Many companies still do not have a back to work policy, or at least not something in the near term. In global rankings for busiest airport, Atlanta slipped to number 2 behind China. Interesting. Okay. Wow. Learn something new every day. Good. Which industries do you mean? I see that you put something in there, Teresa. Thank you for that. And thank you for all collaborating with each other. Keep track of the people you're seeing in the chat and reach out to them directly. It's kind of a great way to stay connected that way. Take a community event like this and take that offline. Make it more intimate. Have a one-on-one conversation with some folks. Let's see. I'm not sure what you mean by which industries, Teresa. So when you have a chance, just put something in the chat for me. I'd appreciate that. Good. All right. So I had a number of things happen this week that I think I'd like to share with you as well. One was the psychological impact that work from home is having on people that even have high resilience for that capacity. I'm seeing it impact those people, and they're not showing up in situations as they should. And so I'm not there to see it, but my suspicion is if they're presenting to me what I'm seeing, then they may be unaware that they're presenting themselves that way to other people. And this is something that would relate specifically to something like interviewing or even networking. If I'm reaching out to somebody to have a conversation and I'm not presenting well, or I'm at an interview and I'm presenting things like, let's see, you were talking about industries that you could jump into. Yeah, whatever industry you have interest in, let's put it that way. So for example, what industry do I have interest in? Let's say distilled beverages. Okay. So if I wanted to get in distilled beverages, there's very few opportunities, at least in my perception, in spirits here in Portland, Oregon. Not that there isn't in Oregon or in the Pacific Northwest. There just may not be as many as, say, let's say Kentucky. I'm just using that as an example. So if I had a desire to get into that industry, would I allow the geography to stop me? Probably not. My suspicion is because of the pandemic, people are drinking more. So it's not that they need less people. They need different people in their operation to make things work, right? So much of that might be direct to consumer through the local liquor control commission, whatever that looks like. Maybe that's being able to market and sell on a local level with something a little more unique, like a combination of spirits with something else. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, but the way that they market and sell their products probably has changed a little bit. Maybe their advertising, their spiffs, their promotions, their pricing, their product mix is probably changed. And that means opportunity. Anytime things change, there's opportunity. Anytime an industry is impacted, there's an opportunity. And you have to decide what is the thing you're interested in. Some people I talk to are very interested in electric vehicles, right? Electric cars, electric bikes, electric whatevers. You fill in the blank, okay? And when we're talking about that, what we're really talking about is seeing potential and possibility before things are posted online. Why? Because many companies aren't as agile and quick to figure out what they need to change. And maybe when you bring that in a proactive stance, you're offering them something they don't already have. They're gonna be like, wow, yeah, we need something like that. And lo and behold, they create a position for you. I've seen it happen all the time. It happens all the time. So really it's up to you which industries you should consider. Some may say, hospitality is on its back. I'm staying out of that business because it's just not doing well right now. That doesn't mean there is an opportunity. What do you think is happening to all the real estate that's been vacated because all these restaurants, I think they said over 1,000 restaurants just in Oregon have closed and will never come back. Okay, that's terrible. I agree. But where's the opportunity? The opportunity might be in reselling restaurant equipment. So if you can get restaurant equipment at dimes on the dollar and then resell that when the market comes back, I think that's worthy of pursuit. So who's in that industry? Who's in that business? Who acquires these assets, these liquidated assets? What is the landlord going to do with that stuff if they have no need for it? If they're showing the property and it used to be a restaurant, and the person coming in there wants to put in, a hair salon. I'm just using that as an example. Do they need all this restaurant equipment, or is it just taking up space and now it's a nuisance, right? What about all these restaurants or places that can only have so much capacity inside that bought tents for the outdoors, right? So now I'm thinking through all these different things pragmatically based on what I'm observing in my daily walk. So part of this process, really, truthfully, is just getting out of the house, lacing up your shoes and going for a walk or going for a drive, driving certain neighborhoods and see what's in play. If there's certain areas of your town that likely are industrial. So if you're into industrial things or manufacturing, go drive through the industrial areas of town. See who's got a bunch of cars parked out front. And see which of these places don't have anything, and then decide for yourself what's going on there. What could I discern about that particular industry or that company? And I think there's a lot to be gained just by being out in the marketplace and taking advantage of that. Let's see. Fast Company article. When is it necessary to turn on your video in a meeting? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that question, Tracy. I don't know if that's a question, but I think that your video on is better than off. Video on better than off, because that says something about you and your brand. And there's something to be said for visually connecting with a person. It's the same reason that when they do what are called heat map studies on LinkedIn, when you go to a LinkedIn profile page, what is the first thing everybody looks at and spends a lot of time viewing? They do this research, and it's always the profile page. Why? Because people want to connect with a human being. And the more you can be a human being, the better. Now, that doesn't mean that every circumstance or situation in a Zoom or a video interaction is appropriate to have a camera turned on. It may not be. Like if you're doing a training and there's 150 people on there, then having every person have their camera and their microphone on is not a good idea. So anyway, Catherine, good to see you. I agree. Video on helps. I love when people I interview keep it on so I can see their excitement. Yes. I mean, how else are you going to connect with a person and know whether or not you can work with them? My suspicion is if you did a video interview and you didn't have, the article highlights privacy concerns. For what? I mean, I don't know what we're talking about there. Everybody's got privacy concerns. I mean, you're on a social network right now. How are you managing your privacy there? Certainly there's steps that we can all take. But we're specifically talking about here, perhaps things related to career transition or getting promotions or career professional development. If I'm in a company and our tool is Microsoft Teams, am I going to have my video on or off at a group team meeting? On every time. Why? Because I want people to see my brand. What is my brand? Maybe I wear a starched white shirt every day. Maybe I have a little pin on the lapel. Maybe or maybe my background image says something about me, right? It's all curated branding. And if I'm talking about internal to a company, I want to have something that says, hey, this is who I am. And I want people to forget that. Wow, Andrew always has his camera on. He's always smiling and he's always making contributions. That says a lot about him. He's open. He's vulnerable. He's capable. He knows how to communicate. He's unafraid for people to see his image. I mean, there's a lot to be said in terms of your brand that goes unsaid, right? Things you don't have to say, but speak volumes. Video also helps de-escalate disagreements and can win people over more quickly to personal. Yes. So here's the thing. When they don't see you, they don't get the nonverbal communications. Yes, they do. They can feel the nonverbals when your video is turned off, but it's much easier to see the nonverbals, the hand gestures, the way they're responding. Are they looking down? Did they do a pouty lip? Right. You get to see that different nuance in the communication. So outside of being in front of somebody in person, video is next best, truthfully. And that's what we have to go on right now. And how great is it that if you're doing networking, that you get to practice this skill? When you get to an interview, you're not practicing anymore. Hopefully the practice is complete and the networking has prepped you for that day, for that time. I'm not diminishing the privacy side of things. But I think it's next best to an in-person meeting. And if you or the audience in a network situation has an issue with that, then a meeting in person, that is, then video is next best. And if video is the interview or the network meeting, I'm having it turned on. I'm prepared that way. I'm practiced. I know to look in the camera and not down at the computer screen. These are all techniques that we can practice. And, whether you have, I saw somebody today that, the camera they were using was their cell phone and it was sitting on their desk. And so they were looking down at me the whole time. And I can't tell you how awkward that is when someone's looking down at you the whole meeting. Anyway, put the video camera at, this is my eye level right here. So mine's just a tad bit above eye level so that it seems like you and I are having a conversation with each other, not me talking down my nose at you that way. So there's little idiosyncrasies like that. If you have other questions about video and how to do the interview side of things, I'm more than happy to cover that as a topic. Of course, if you want to come on live, you can do that. The link is in the description here on LinkedIn. It should be at the top right of the screen. I think you have to click see more. LinkedIn's favorite word, see more. Yeah, you have to see more. Let's see here. Let me go back because I probably should grab some of these chats so that we can see them all, so that I make sure I'm responding appropriately to Tracy. I don't want to misspeak, if that's okay with you, Tracy. Good. The article says each company should set clear expectations around whether cameras should be on or off and have an explicit conversation around camera use with their workers. Sure. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's something that's revealed when you're doing camera stuff from your home. And so I would agree with that. There should be a policy on that. Now, inside a company, for sure, and everybody should be aware of that, but it should be up to each person to make a decision on their own if there's latitude to do so. And if I had the choice, I would have mine turned on. So thank you for that, Tracy. I'll go back and read that when I have a chance. I don't know that I can do that during our live stream today, but I will certainly grab that link here and keep it open and see what it says. I thought there was something going on new with LinkedIn. I might have to go back to my email here and see if I can find it. But I thought there was some news with LinkedIn that was relevant to what we were talking about here today. Maybe I should go back to my profile and look at my activity feed because I'm sure it's in there. Let's see. If you have any questions, put those in the chat. Happy to answer. That's why I'm here. If you have questions specific, please put those in the chat. I want to see them and I want to answer them. And because by you having that question, guess what? Somebody else probably has that question as well. So don't think that's you alone. Okay, that was from 6 days ago. Yeah, we don't have anything else here to talk about with LinkedIn. I'm still awaiting though the profile update where we get to share a 2-minute commercial on our profile page. So I'm still waiting to get access to that. In fact, I was going to look on my mobile device to see if that had been activated or not. Let me see. Unlock LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn is really good at the security here. So let me go. I wonder if it's just on the mobile app that you do this. Yeah, no, there's nothing here on the mobile app. Let me edit this. Add a name pronunciation. Yeah, it doesn't show here yet. So it's not on the thing yet. Good, not a question. Thank you. As I've been implementing your advice to interact with my new manager based on how she communicates, it's been helpful and I see more success than my colleagues. Good. You should. You know, the funny thing about being in an organization and there being change of leader is we often wait. We often wait for a leader to take the first step. And I don't know if that's always the case. And we expect, because there's a new leader in our organization, that the norms are the same as they were before that leader came, and they're not. We need to establish new rules of engagement, if you want to call them that. And so good on you that you took the time, energy, and effort to implement advice and you got benefit. So thank you for that, Catherine. It's always good to see benefit come out of clients that I've coached. So thank you for that. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions here. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to come on live? The chat line is open. You're welcome to come on and let me know what is going on. see if I can help you in any way possible. Let's see. Okay, there's also a discussion. Let's see what Tracy has to say. There's also a discussion around changes in dress code once the pandemic is over. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I've come to enjoy and appreciate jogger pants. I don't know, my kids like joggers, and I didn't know what they were until I got them. I just called them sweatpants, but they're nice. I mean, they're nicer than sweatpants, truthfully, and they're very comfortable. You know, today I'm not. I'm wearing jeans today, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. We need to certainly remember that what we wear and how we present ourselves is part of our brand. And whether we like it or not, people will make determinations, judgment. If you want to call it judgment, they will make judgment determination on us based on how we present ourselves. That could be based on our dress, our appearance, whatever things we're wearing. If it's a nose ring or gauges in our ears or tattoos on our neck or whatever, they're making assessments on us. Now, that doesn't mean it's positive or negative. It just is. And we have to ask ourselves, is what we're getting a result of what we're presenting? Is what we're getting a result of what we're presenting? That's a pretty good one. You guys can borrow that if you like. Is what we're getting what we're presenting? So there is a link in the description. If you want to come on live, we can do that. Or I suppose I could look at somebody's LinkedIn profile at random here and give you some feedback, but I don't see anybody new here that would be interested in some feedback on their profile. So that said, I'm welcome to go early and actually start happy hour early today. If you have any questions, put those in the chat, please. I'd love to offer more contribution as usual. We are coming into good. Nice. Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, that is something I just drew up, and it was because of our discussions today. And so I thank you for that. And since I don't see any other questions here, maybe I'll just sign off and wish you a good weekend. I hope everybody is safe and sound and healthy. And I'll see you next career happy hour. Okay. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. We'll see you soon. Oh, wow. A question just came in from Catherine. Thank you. So you caught me right before I signed off. Do you have any pro tips for writing to executives? It seems like they have such limited mind share. You need to be super short and concise, but sometimes it's hard to get all the context to them. I think we need to establish credibility with them first. If we establish credibility with them, they will listen. Therefore, if we're the type of person that likes to write a lot and give a lot of detail to a high-level person, they're not interested. We need to know what's important, regardless of what level they are, what is important to that person and what's going on right now. What's important to that person and what's going on right now that I can influence. I didn't leave you hanging. So yes, it's not that they want you to be short. They want you to be clear, and they want your recommendation. So the problem that many people have when they write to people in decision-making capacity, executives, is they try to give too many options. Too many options. I was always the type of person that says, hey, here's 3 options, you pick. No, I don't do that anymore. I would say, hey, here's the situation. Here's how I'm going to proceed. Unless I hear differently, this is what I'd recommend, and I'm going to recommend that and take this action. So depending on what you're trying to get out of it and what's important to them, I'm more the type of person that I'm more direct. And normally it's an easier process for them because now I don't, as a leader, have to invest a lot of time, energy, and mental capacity trying to discern what you're saying. Sometimes it's easier just to be plain. But it depends on the type of person you're dealing with as well. This person, yes, they may be pressed for time, but they may also be a see more. They want to see more data, more information. They're slow to make decisions. Now, people in executive capacity typically aren't that way. They typically have a way to make decisions that's known to them, but may not be known to you. So that's what I would advocate, is what's important to them. What is their decision-making process? And every time you ask them something or have an interaction with them, perhaps do an after-action review on your approach and your expectation. And did you get what you expected? If not, then don't do that again, right? Modify that and establish a new way of approaching that person that they that gets the results. If you see other people going to this person and getting what they need, was that because they were better at communicating, or was it just because they were persistent with their ask? I don't know. It's something you need to discern for yourself. It's almost like you need to create a playbook for each person you will interact with to see and experience and understand how they make decisions. And just like you would for any product or service you're looking to promote for your company, you may want to that. And so there's decisions made in that capacity on whether or not a partner or somebody would adopt or not your technology and espouse it and utilize it and deploy it in organizations. The same is true when we're talking about leaders inside the company. This art of sales isn't any different really when we're looking for work or we're inside a company. It's not different. It's the art of asking questions to get a desired end result. And often it's a mutual agreement. Good. Catherine, full of questions today. Thank you. You resurrected Career Happy Hour. Good. One more question. Any suggestions on when to cut off a networking contact who continues to cancel on you, or one who you learn isn't someone who conducts themselves in a professional manner? It depends. Did you ask or did they ask, right? So I'm running through a series of questions. And if I'm trying to meet with somebody and it's important to me, meet that person in a networking capacity, and I could see how that person could be instrumental in the trajectory of my career, I keep going until I get to that place I want to go. And if they aren't instrumental in that, then that's their loss. Now, if somebody doesn't conduct themselves in a professional manner, what does that have to do with networking? I don't know what that has to do with networking, because the purpose in networking is to cultivate a relationship. And yes, you may not want a best buddies relationship with somebody like that. That doesn't mean that they aren't valuable in some other way to get where you want to go. Now, I'm not suggesting you use that person for that capacity. I'm suggesting that we shouldn't put barriers in front of our own discernment with a person. Because if I heard from third party, this person isn't professional, that's one person's perspective. They weren't professional in front of that one person that one time. So, happy hour rescue. We should come. I mean, that would be a good one. Could you come up with a drink called Happy Hour Rescue? I mean, I don't know what would be in that. Anyway, last name, Beach Happy Hour Rescue. I don't know. Anyway, I'm happy to help you help you go through with that. But in terms of your question, Catherine, I don't know enough about that situation to give you honestly to give you good advice. So if you want to send me a direct message offline, I'm happy to address that. I don't want to get too into your situation or your company or your personal stuff. So anyway, you're welcome. All right. Any other questions? I can sign off. Somebody can come on live, whatever it takes. You're welcome to join. There is a link in the description if you want to come on live and get hands-on coaching from me. Just take a second and click the link in the description, or put your questions in the chat. That's equally as easy. It might require some typing. I know that that's hard. So What else happened this week? Maybe there's something else I could share. You're welcome. All right. So I'm going to sign off. I will catch you all next Friday for Career Happy Hour. Spread the news, spread the love. Make sure people know we're here every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time to answer their burning career questions. And we'll catch you next Friday. Take care.